How do we prove a mesothelioma case for a Navy seaman who was exposed to asbestos on board a particular ship? Hi, I'm Joe Williams. I'm a mesothelioma trial attorney, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the type of proof that we can gather in a case for a U.S. Navy seaman. Now, of course, the best form of proof and evidence comes from the Navy seaman himself, from his testimony, his deposition testimony, or any information that he can provide regarding his potential exposures to asbestos. We also seek out crewmates, people who served with him that can provide information about asbestos exposure. But it's very important to recognize that we're dealing with the United States Navy, and the United States Navy took meticulous records of how their ships were built and repaired. There is something called the United States Navy Bureau of Ships, and this department was responsible for keeping these meticulous records regarding the construction and repair of these giant United States naval vessels. Now, those records were maintained in the United States Naval Archive, and those are kept in Washington, D.C., and there is a process by which those records have been declassified. And we can have a researcher travel to Washington, D.C., acquire the records of a particular ship, make copies of them, and we can then review the records for that ship. It can tell us things like when the ship was constructed, how it was constructed, who made the equipment that was placed on the ship, where different components, machinery, where different equipment was installed on the ship and when. It can tell us things like how the equipment was installed. It can tell us what asbestos products were used during the installation of that equipment. So for example, if we represent a machinist mate who served on a particular ship, well, perhaps those ship records will tell us who made the equipment on that ship and who made the asbestos that was used in conjunction with that equipment on that ship, and when the equipment was installed, or when the asbestos was installed, or when it was repaired. These records, combined with all the other proof that we're able to acquire in a particular case, combine together to make a very compelling and strong case of asbestos exposure for a U.S. naval seaman. Why am I telling you all this? Because you have questions about mesothelioma and about asbestos exposure. And I want you to know all of the ways that we can gather evidence and prove a case for a U.S. naval seaman. I'm Joe Williams. At my office, we handle mesothelioma cases every day. I'm sure you have questions about mesothelioma and asbestos exposure. I invite you to contact our office. We'll answer your questions. Thank you.